Golden Forex numbers just out a short while ago. Net reserves up $1.7 billion over the month of September. Any indication there that the Reserve Bank has been active in the markets, or do you think it's also due to currency movements?
Morning, Stephen. Well, you know, the total increase of 1.3 billion is due to a combination of things. Firstly, there are revaluation effects. We saw the price of gold climb quite significantly in the month, and that contributed to higher reserves. We also saw some dollar weakness, which led to a relative gain in the value of other currencies that the Reserve Bank holds as reserves. And then, of course, there was some actual reserve accumulation on the part of the SARB, particularly making use of their long-term FX swaps.
Any idea at this stage of how much reserve accumulation there has been?
Stephen, according to our calculations, we put the figure at about 500 million for September.
So does that still seem pretty conservative, just given the strength that we have seen in the rand and the pressure that we're under with that at this stage?
Yes, absolutely, Stephen. You know, I think that the Reserve Bank is under enormous pressure to try and accumulate more reserves and stem the currency's appreciation. But we've also had Governor Marcus say repeatedly that the cost of accumulating reserves is quite high. So it's not something that you can just jump into and accumulate as much as you'd like. There are some constraints to this. And in addition, if you just consider the fact that we've seen a total inflow into the South African bond and equity market of about 94 billion this year, I mean, it's quite a tidal wave that you're trying to swim against, and I don't think one can fault the SARB in this instance.
Of course, we did have the rand yesterday trading down to 684, and at those levels again this morning as well. Of course, it really just seems to be a factor of dollar weakness at this stage, because we have been on a weakening trend, slight though, against the euro.
Yeah, absolutely, Stephen. I mean, at this point, rand strength doesn't appear to be broad-based. It really does appear to be more a function of dollar weakness. And I think that was especially evident yesterday, because the dollar weakened quite substantially after that ADP report came out showing that employment was far worse than estimates in the US. And so we saw the dollar weaken quite substantially on that news, and that's when the rand seemed to strengthen quite significantly.
Of course, we have seen further moves by other emerging market countries to try and weaken their currencies. We had Brazil this week doubling the tax it charges on short-term inflows from 2% to 4%. We also had Thailand moving on the liberalization of exchange controls. Do you think these are a couple of the models that South Africa might be looking at, particularly when we come up with the medium-term budget later this month?
Stephen, well, the news from authorities has been that they are considering a range of measures, and we've heard that repeatedly over the past few months. What was interesting about the Brazilian experience is that the real continued to strengthen even after they doubled that tax. So it really doesn't seem to be as effective as one might hope it would be. So at this point, I think that the speculation that Minister Gordhan is going to announce a further liberalization in exchange controls seems to be what everyone's thinking at the moment. And certainly, given the cost of accumulating reserves and the fact that these Tobin tax type measures don't really seem to be effective, it's increasingly looking like this is really the only route that one could take in these circumstances.
We are just looking ahead to today. We have the Business Confidence Index coming out. We also have the Financial Stability Review. What will we be looking for in those data?
Stephen, today's data, I mean, the business confidence indicator, one would certainly be hoping for a bit of an uptick, and from a growth perspective that could boost the rand. But that index isn't really market moving. I think today the key things to watch would certainly be the ECB and BOE policy announcements that are due later in the day. And as far as the Financial Stability Review is concerned, I mean, that really is the SARB's review of conditions in the financial sector, particularly banking. So if they highlight any risks perhaps that the market isn't aware of in that sector currently, then that could be negative for the rand, but we're not anticipating such a move today.